right, good evening, NAI football fans. This is Corey Thorpe here. We have another edition of the NAIAFBALL live show. I am still waiting for John to get here this afternoon. So I'm going to just go ahead and switch it to myself real quick. If y'all don't see it on Instagram before the show, we do a live show pre-show there on Instagram. Welcome to y'all coming in, but I love the interaction there. Drop your questions, your teams there in the chat, and we can talk about them while we wait for John to get here. Man, it is an action-packed week. We're going to have so much stuff. Obviously, we have a coaches show coming up on Sunday at 7. You can catch us right here. We will be going live. So, you know what? I'm going to change up my background. Just on the fly here. That's how we roll. Let's go Dickinson State tonight. All right, I need to make that bigger. Yoop. Now you see behind the curtain a little bit as we get this done here. So we have a jam-packed show for you tonight. I'll go ahead and get it cranked up with our scores from around the NAIA. First, we have Central Arkansas beating Texas Wesleyan 63-3. Texas Wesleyan just can't find success through the year. 13-23 for 153 yards and 2 interceptions from Carson Rogers and Dale Dalton. They have negative three total rushing yards as a team. Collier Ricks picks up 58 yards on 3 catches. Just a disappointing game for Texas Wesleyan. You would have hoped you could have scored a touchdown, but this is also Central Arkansas, an FCS squad. So, you got your paycheck, and you get to move on with your year. Going to the Midwest, we have Grandview missing 4 offensive linemen, beats Culver Stockton 9-6. Johnny Sullivan behind that patchwork offensive line is 17 of 32 for 193 yards. This one just came down to defense and turnovers. Grandview's defense only allowed 3.5 yards per play and forced 4 Culver Stockton turnovers there. Great year for Culver Stockton. They hung tough in this one. Definitely building something great over there. Over in the Heart, on the other side of the Heart, we've got Central Methodist. I believe other side of the Heart. It could be the same side of the Heart. Nope, other side. Central Methodist beats Baker. In what's it's an even game. Baker misses their first extra point gets their extra point blocked, and then fails the 2-point conversion, or this would have been a tied ball game and maybe a different outcome. Who knows? CMU did seem to have that game for most of the day. Baker was playing catch up. Paxton DeLauren was 18 of 31 for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns, along with 50 yards on the ground. J.D. Woods for Baker had all 3 touchdowns and 181 yards on the day. Down south, St. Thomas gets eliminated in the Sun Division, losing 38-15 to Kaiser. Tyler Thomas just could not get it going. 2 picks and 113 yards for the Bobcat quarterback. Meanwhile, Jonathan Mosley for Kaiser was efficient, as you would expect from Kaiser. 12 of 15 for 188 yards and a touchdown, and 40 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Marcus Burgess with 3 scores of his own. Kaiser moves on to the next elimination round of the Sun Division. We will get there shortly. And the game of the week, the game that we were all waiting for, Northwestern Morningside. Northwestern gets down a little bit, comes back on Morningside. Just a brilliant game from Tyson Koima. Rushing touchdown, 40-some-odd yards, 498. Passing yards, 5 touchdowns and a pick. But Anthony Sims with 4 touchdowns and Joe Dolanchek with 3 did in Northwestern. But just an absolutely brilliant game for both teams, both playoff bound. And now we have the Maumee Bay Turf Nation Players of the Week. Man, I just love looking at pretty baseball stadiums like that. Don't y'all? I mean, football's prettier, but, just something about that. That's really nice. That is a high school there. Thank you to Maumee Bay Turf Nation for sponsoring what we do here. We very much appreciate it and love what y'all do. But I think I hear John Cooper here. So as we go into our Week 10 Players of the Week, I'm going to let him get situated here, and we'll be right back. All right, and we are back with our Week 10 Players of the Week offensively. How can you give it to anyone but Tyson Koima? Almost 500 yards passing, 44 yards on the ground, 6 total touchdowns in his second game back starting from Northwestern.
We knew that if Northwestern, great team, if they had any chance to beat Morningside, he was going to have to be Superman. I know they fell just short, but he kept them in the game. And just like we said last year at this time, Koima and the crew, there's a bigger prize looming out there than the G-Pack.
There sure is.
And they realized that last year in the playoffs. I would much rather beat Morningside in the playoffs than beat them in the regular season, because they're going to see each other again just due to location. But amazing performance. He's basically Superman there at quarterback. If he played the full year, he'd be player of the year.
Oh, absolutely. Defensively, let's talk about a heroic effort. My eyes about jumped out of my head when I saw the stat line. Good Lord, Jason Freeman. That is not a misprint. That is not a misprint. 31 tackles. Have you ever seen anybody have more tackles in a game?
I've only seen something similar to that when they went against a triple option team, but I don't think this was the case for him. He was all over the field.
Absolutely. In 5 quarterback hurries, so it's not like we're sitting here having him throwing, against a triple option team. He's getting in the backfield. He's getting tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss as well for Jason. So congratulations to him. Let's take a look at our top 25, and we have a little bit of a shakeup here.
Yeah.
A little bit, as we had a couple of teams go down. Yeah, Zachary, holy crap, is right.
Yeah.
At number 25, we've got Southeastern. Actually drops a spot back there after their win.
It's super interesting. I didn't think Langston would survive. Just looking at the teams, I know we haven't announced them yet, Corey, but because I just have a lot of thoughts to say. Very surprised that St. Francis at 23 isn't in the top 20. They were in my top 20. I believe, did they clinch the Midwest?
We'll get to
We'll
that.
get that. They
We'll
play
get-
St. Xavier still.
Yeah.
Okay. All 5 good teams. Surprised Langston's still in there. Southeastern, it's insane. If they would have had a year, a strong beginning, they're in the playoffs probably with what's happened. The Sun Division's in chaos.
Oh my gosh,
A
it
3-way
is.
tie basically right now.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all the tiebreakers. Rocky has got to be. I mean, Rocky. If you're Rocky Mountain, you've got to win.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll get
it's a win or go home.
it's win or go home because you've got Montana Western. It's a 2021 matchup in our poll. If you're Montana Western, you may or may not make it. Look,
Which sucks because
if Rocky loses,
they're seeing number 17 Dickinson State in.
right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's crazy that we have Dickinson State ranked above Montana Western.
Right. So I mean, if Montana Western beats Rocky Mountain, then College of Idaho is going to be your frontier
Right.
representative.
I would just like to see both polls, ours and the coaches, swap.
Yeah.
Montana Western, Dickinson State.
I mean, but that was also in week 2, and yeah,
I
losses count whenever, but there's a lot of
Well, I think it's just big in out of conference because you just don't get too many of them.
yeah. St. Xavier at number 18 has a big game. Georgetown is just sort of sticking around. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
We said that last year and they still made it.
I thought Georgetown might have been on the edge. Dickinson State at number 17 has gotten themselves, unless chaos happens, a playoff spot. And Kaiser at number 16 has primed themselves for a playoff spot.
Right. Central Methodist with the big upset over Baker. I'm so shocked that we don't have that flop. But
I am too.
It
I
sucks.
think that's it's flopped in both of our polls.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed.
We're going to take some major heat for that.
Yeah, we are.
I wish we could make an executive decision on the
I know,
flop
right?
that.
I mean, they're only 6 points apart, but yeah,
Right.
I mean, I do have a bone to pick with that. College of Idaho number 13, Ottawa of Arizona still hanging tough at 12. Man, they get new life.
Absolutely. With the Arizona Christian win over Langston, they're back in the playoff race.
Southwestern at number 11, they get a good reward at the end of the week there. Top 10, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Concordia at 10, Bethel at 9, Marion at 8, Indiana Wesleyan at 7, Reinhardt at 6.
Most of these teams are all locks for the playoffs, pretty much, except for Bethel. We're not for sure.
Yeah, Bethel's in a tough spot.
They really need to win their Division II game next week.
Yeah, they do. And top 5, Northwestern, Kansas Wesleyan, Grandview, Morningside, and Lindsey Wilson.
Yes, all these teams are locks for the playoffs.
And we'll be right back as you take a look at our top 25.
This is Anthony Turner from Grandview University, and this is NAIA football.
All right, welcome back. We have some games to watch this week. We have first our traditional kind of top 25 in receiving votes games. First up, we're looking at Kansas Wesleyan versus Southwestern.
Yeah, it has big implications for playoffs and conference race in the KCAC there. Kansas Wesleyan stayed hot. Southwestern might bring the defense to give the Coyotes a challenge.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting. I think Kansas Wesleyan does have the firepower to dispatch with Southwestern. We just talked about Bethel again, and they go and play West Texas A&M. I am on record saying that I am not sure about the strategy of scheduling a D2 team at the end of your season if you're a team hoping to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. I will say commend to the Threshers for not being afraid to schedule a D2 team, especially with somebody in the Texas A&M curriculum, who probably has a proud history. I know I don't know anything about West Texas A&M because they're D2, but I do know Tarleton State, who is also part of Texas A&M curriculum. Their football program went from D2 to FCS.
And I mean,
So
you've got,
there's good football probably in the curriculum of all
there
the Texas
definitely
A&M
is.
schools.
I mean, you've got Texas A&M Commerce, who was an NAIA powerhouse for years and years.
Yeah.
Bethel really needs to win that game. We'll talk about that more in a second, but Bethel really needs to win that game. We have St. Xavier and St. Francis, a deciding game in the Mid-States Midwest. They're cats versus dogs here.
Right, absolutely. This is the big decision for the Midwest.
Yep, and then the same is the case against with Montana Western and Rocky Mountain there. This is going to be the game that decides if Rocky gets back to the playoffs or not.
Right. Yeah. I think if Montana Western wins this, I think they have an argument as an at-large from the outside.
Yeah, possibly. There's going to be a lot depending. And then we've got 3 games that are a little off the radar, but are definitely going to be no less important in terms of getting teams into the playoffs. First off is Central Methodist versus Evangel. Why does it always seem that every dad blame year it's an Evangel game that decides something?
Yeah, Central Methodist is on the hinge of doing something they haven't really done as a program.
Yeah, I mean, and Baker's got Missouri Valley, which should be an easy-ish win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Kaiser at Ave Maria. Ave Maria is no stranger for winning a Sun Division title.
Absolutely, but the Gyrenes are 5-5 right now.
But they're getting hot at the right time.
Getting hot at the right time. And then Ottawa versus Oklahoma Panhandle State. Ottawa just cannot trip up here against OPSU. And now, kind of what you've all been waiting for.
What is it?
Let's talk some playoffs.
Let's do it. We got a bubble watch going?
Let's first look at the teams that have already clinched their conference. All 5 of these teams are in the top 20 currently. And so as long as they win, they're in. Reinhardt in the Appalachian, Grandview in the Hart North, Dickinson State in the North Star, Lindsey Wilson in the Bluegrass, and Morningside in the GPAC. I'm fairly certain, so all of these have actually clinched. Even if they were to lose, they would win the tiebreaker.
I would say Dickinson State, if they lost, they're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
But the rest of them, yes.
Yeah, because they're right there around that top 20. Let's look at the rest of the rest of the conferences and see what's going to decide it here, how the playoff scenarios are going to play out. In the Frontier, Rocky secures their spot with a win. College of Idaho has to have a win and a Rocky loss.
Right, absolutely. So Rocky just take care of business. Kansas Wesleyan just take care of business. So that's the tiebreaker for the KCAC. Very interesting.
Technically, Kansas Wesleyan could still lose and win the KCAC.
Right. And so Bethel's out of winning the playoffs?
Bethel is out of winning. So
securing the
tiebreaker. The auto bid.
Okay.
Right. So how it works in the KCAC is if you've got a 3-way tie and all 3 teams have beaten each other.
Right.
You go to margin of victory of the teams among themselves.
So that's in their bylaw. I got you.
Yep. So if Kansas Wesleyan loses by 7 points or fewer or wins,
right,
they're going. If Southwestern wins by more than a touchdown, they're going.
Wow. So Rocky Mountain wins. That puts College of Idaho on the fringe out there.
Yeah.
Possibly biting their nails.
Absolutely. And where they are, we'll look at the coaches poll in a minute. I don't know that College of Idaho has much to go on there. In the Sooner, Langston still technically has a chance.
And they just need OUAZ to slip up.
And then in the Hart South, if you're Central Methodist, You just need to win. You get it with a top 20 finish because
Right.
you've got the tiebreaker over Baker. But if Baker is in the top 20 and Central Methodist is not, and they are tied, the auto bid goes to Baker.
Okay, so if Central Methodist doesn't make the top 20, Baker's inside it, they get it?
Yep.
Even head-to-head does not matter?
Head-to-head does not matter.
Wow, what a crazy rule.
I
guess it makes sense to help your team make the playoff, but
it does. I mean, dude, I enjoyed so much looking at all these bylaws. Wow. It's nuts. Mid-States, Midwest. So, again, St. Francis secures with a win and a higher rank. Same thing for St. Xavier.
right.
In the Mid-States, Mid-East, actually, no, sorry, that's wrong on the Midwest. Whoever wins that game.
It's just, I figured they do
It's
the tiebreaker by
It's
head-to-head.
head-to-head. In the Mid-East, since there are 3 teams there, whoever is ranked highest gets the auto bid. That is nowhere near as fun as the KCAC.
No, not at all.
And then the fun in the sun. Ave Maria secures the division
With a win.
a win.
That's crazy. Because it knocks Kaiser out, and then they have it over Southeastern.
Bingo, that's exactly right.
Wow.
Kaiser gets it with a win and Southeastern outside the top 20. Southeastern gets it with a Kaiser win and Southeastern being inside the top 20, which is incredibly unlikely since with a Kaiser win, they would not drop.
That's crazy.
But, I mean, hey, it could happen. IWU does get the Mideast with a loss by Concordia or Marion, but that's an assumption that all 3 win.
All right.
Now, Bubble Watch.
Blind resume, huh?
We have the resume. We have Team A and Team B here. Team A is 9-1. They're 1-1. Hush you.
Sorry.
They're 1-1 against top 5 opponents. They're 8-0 elsewhere, and they have a 7-point loss to a now top 5 team. Team B is 8-2, 3-1 in division. They are 0-1 against a top 10 opponent, 8-1 elsewhere. They have played no other top 25 teams. They have a 17-point loss to a now top 5 team.
Yeah, I'm going with Team A.
You would say Team A.
What about you?
That is Bethel.
Yeah, I'm going with Team A still.
Now, how thin is that margin?
Oh, absolutely thin.
It's razor thin.
And
so,
the thing is, are the Raiders going to are they going to be blinded by brands and names? Because Baker is a bigger brand than Bethel.
Here's the thing. This is why I said earlier that Bethel has to win that D2 game.
Yes.
Bethel must, because if
they get punished for it. You get punished for losing D2 games.
Even if it's by the slightest of
A loss
margins.
is a loss, yes.
A loss is still a loss. And I think that all things being equal, you're going to give it to Baker over Bethel if Bethel loses. If Bethel wins, I think they could be there. Let's take a look. I knew someone said I knew the team was Baker the moment you put the graphic on. I mean, yeah, I know. All right, let's take a look at the coaches poll just to kind of get an eye on it. Let's talk about criteria of selection. This is for the National Selection Committee. This is what they're looking at. So this is what we looked at for Bethel and Baker. Overall record and winning percentage. Record versus top 10, record versus top 25, record versus receiving votes, record outside of top 25. We have not seen that arc rating for this last week. So that's where we're a little blind. Where they are, especially after that Baker loss to Central Methodist. But based on these primary criteria, we see kind of what's going to go on, because if you look at them here in the top 25, they're right there.
Right. But, that loss is going to... It's tough.
Right. Right, that loss.
You know
for
who's
Bethel.
the big winner here? Who shouldn't be a big winner is number 12 Kaiser.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay,
Okay. So that's crazy. If the Sun Division champion ends up being 6-4, right?
6-5,
6-5.
which is absurd. So look,
And they're
if the
out,
Sun
and then
Division
Kaiser would get in.
right. So I think if Ave Maria were to win,
Because there's no way they're getting to the top 20, you wouldn't think.
both Bethel and Baker make it,
Right.
regardless of Bethel's.
Right. Because the two mid-states teams are going to make it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sounds like those are going to be your at-larges.
Yeah. So you've got Northwestern, 2 of the 3 of
I think
IWU.
a big
Concordia.
thing depends if Southwestern loses by a short margin, Bethel loses by a short margin, which KCAC team gets in.
Oh, I go with Bethel. They've got the head-to-head.
I agree.
They've got the head-to-head over Southwestern. You know, but you've got these teams down here in the danger zone. I feel like if Central Methodist wins, the coaches will find a way to put them top 20. They're 22 right now.
I totally agree. If they win,
feel like they find a way
Yeah.
to get them in the top 20. St. Francis of Illinois is in the danger zone, but, you know, if you beat St. Xavier, you're going up. Dickinson State is in the danger zone, but just win convincingly. Yeah, I feel bad for Southwestern. They've had a great season, and they're very much on the outside looking in at this point. But I do think that it's come down to this. Now, I do have one other thing I'm going to go ahead and put out there. And that is, and I don't even have a daggum slide for this.
put up the notepad.
We're going to put it up on the notepad. Let me see if I can make it, how big I can make this. Yeah, there we go. Not only am I going to be calling my playoff teams.
Oh wow, you got the bracket.
I've got the I've got the how these go. Okay, so just to explain this, and I'll throw it full screen here for those of you on small devices.
So is that the mileage?
That's the mileage. That number
Okay.
out to the side is mileage. Now, I think if I remember correctly, and it's been a few months since I've looked at it, that the NAIA threshold for flights,
It's 1,200.
I thought it was 650.
Oh, 650. Okay.
Is 650,
Ooh.
which is where I had to work it a little bit
Yeah.
to get it to get a couple of these teams. You see 648 and 645 here.
Yeah, it's pretty. I'd be bummed out I wasn't on a plane.
Oh man. So Dickinson at Morningside is a 587-mile trip. That is one of the closer ones there, North Dakota.
Dickinson's no stranger to traveling to Iowa.
No, they're not. That's an easy one. The one that's a little weird is Rocky Mountain at Ottawa of Arizona. I think you put those two teams together.
They're the most isolated.
They're the most isolated of the
that
two
way you
teams.
get one of them out.
Threshold is 850. Thank you, Cody. Still, that gives me a little bit more.
Yeah, a lot more room.
Gives me a little more room. Didn't mean to do that. St. Francis of Illinois at Kansas Wesleyan. Marion at Grandview.
Oh, and let's remind our viewers, it's $30,000.
It is
to host a
$30,000.
playoff game.
Okay, so I did get some explanation on that this week.
Go
that
ahead.
covers your officials. That covers a little bit of your visiting team's expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers basically a lot of your game day operations. So,
Right.
I mean...
And you guys will be surprised about gate money. So like our local high school here probably brings in about, 2,000 to 3,000 fans, on a low night. So 3,000 fans, if a ticket's $8, what's 3,000 times 8?
24.
$24,000. So, I know it sounds crazy, but you can make that up.
Roger says 4v8's not likely. That's Marion and Grandview. Okay, so here's where some of the funky stuff that you got to do to make all this work. If you got to stay within 850, you also have this little rule down here at the bottom. Every attempt will be made to not pair conference teams in the first round. You have these really dense pockets.
Which Mid-South's really easy to do because it's basically separate conferences, with separate divisions within a conference. I know the Mid-States has 2 divisions, but
right.
Kaiser and Reinhardt don't really see each other.
Right, but I do. So for Kaiser, that's going to be how it has to be. I think they'll force that. But I tried really hard to keep St. Francis, Marian, Concordia, and Indiana Wesleyan separate.
Right.
Even talking St. Francis and the other the Mid-East teams, trying to keep that separate because they didn't say divisions.
Right.
They said conferences.
Yeah.
So, Kaiser at Reinhardt, you have to be that way, otherwise you're right on the edge. Concordia at Lindsey Wilson.
Right.
Baker at Northwestern, and Central Methodist at Indiana Wesleyan. So y'all screenshot
someone
that?
brought up the thing that Reinhardt had to go to Kaiser last year in the playoff. What I mean was Reinhardt and Kaiser don't see each other during the regular season.
Right.
Because of divisions.
And I think that you would want to keep Kaiser and Lindsey Wilson away from each other because they've already played this season. So y'all take the screenshot, save the receipts. Yeah. I want to see how close I am. I'm putting it out there as my picks. Y'all do this exercise for yourself using the NSC rules and see what you come up with and keep it within 850. It's a trip. But here's my favorite part of the show. That's talking about the folks that make this happen. So you want to read the names this week?
Yeah, go Ace Wellen, Cordell, Austin Steele, Jody Hodgland, Jerry Quickle, Alex Garcia, Monte Mustang, Nathan, Ronnie Atkinson, Fred Christensen, Shirley LaBella, Jeremy Valuable, Tricia Prescott, Roger Meyer, our friend, Dylan Swartz, David, Bob Boone, Cliff Kretzel, Darren, Brett Crochelle, Danielle Quinn, DSU Cone, Ian Sweeney, Blake Sitman, Keith, Charlie Simmons, Marty Seabolt, Justin Cobb, Dane, Nick Buzzle, Hayden Faringo, Steve Carr, Marty McFly, Art Cassner, Jeff, Kyle Gregory, Lance Damon, Jacob Smith, Tyler Pierce, and Coach Steve Speakman.
Love it, love it. I mean, we say it every week. This is how we get to do the things that we do. Guys, if y'all are watching and y'all are not subscribed, please do so. We are working our way towards 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours. That is a huge goal for us to be able to do this.
Yeah, if we can get 1,000 subs, that'd make our life a lot easier.
Oh, it would. It would increase our ability to cover NAIA football
way more.
Significantly.
We could get to at least the extra game.
Absolutely. So, you got any thoughts here on the playoffs and how this is all going down and everything?
I think in the big scheme of things, there's going to be a lot of arguments about at-larges.
Oh,
which we have every year. But we've never really had an at-large really make a run outside of the ones that are clear-cut, like Northwestern is going to be an at-large. We really haven't had the at-large on the fringe make a run. I would love to see that in the playoffs.
That would be cool.
Give a reason to expand, and I would like to see bowl games coming.
I would love to see bowl games. All right, so I'm going to flip back to my thing here. Out of the at-larges that I've got here, who would be the one that would be most likely to make your run?
All the at-larges?
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but I'm going to go with maybe a Central Methodist, but I really like St. Francis, Illinois, just because of their size. They're huge. They're huge, and I think they can physically compete with some teams.
I've been I've been telling you for the last couple of years the St. Francis team is strangely they're really good.
Which it would be cool to see because usually you only see the Mid-East teams really make noise in the playoffs. You don't see much from the Midwest.
I think Baker as an at-large team. I know that's such a gimme answer because Baker has been the representative for so long. But Baker could definitely make that run. Rocky could give someone problems. I'd hate to see who they'd give. They'd probably force them to Morningside, I would think.
Right. No, that was a matchup in the playoffs a couple years ago in the first round. So
but I would love to see Rocky make someone nervous.
I think Kansas Wesley is going to have their best run yet, and they made the semifinals a couple years ago.
I do too.
I think they're going to make their best run yet.
Yeah, they've got a couple of wide receivers who are insane, and they're balanced in a way that they haven't been in a minute. But let's talk real quick before we go about, I hate to call it housekeeping, but our next show is going to be a live.
It's only Sunday night.
It's going to be Sunday night.
Oh, that's going to be tricky.
I'll start it.
It'll have
You
to
come
be later.
Yeah, you come in whenever. I at least will be here. I will be playing the selection show. Right about
What time is it?
Right there. It's at 7 Eastern,
Okay.
6 Central.
Okay.
On Play NAIA on Facebook. We will have it up, and I will be live reacting. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We will again have a National Selection Committee member.
Oh, nice.
On with us
To explain, yeah.
to
Cool.
explain after the selection show goes off. You will want to be locked in right here. We're going to go over it. We are going to be running through those games and basically doing our live show after the selection show.
That works.
So it's going to be a heck of a fun night. I can't wait. This has been an insane year of football. 2 years in one.
Absolutely.
And we are approaching the end. Where can I subscribe to your show? Right here on YouTube, Zachary.
Yeah, please hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely. Zachary. I don't even care if you hit the bell or not.
Yeah, we don't care about notifications. Just subscribe.
Yeah, just subscribe.
You'll find us.
Exactly. Subscribe on YouTube, guys. It really does help us out a lot. We are marching towards it. That is the monetization level. To be honest, that is what that is. And so that we can show you more ads. No, I mean, okay. So where will Peru State land if they beat Culver? Barely inside the top 25, maybe.
I think they would end up ranked, and I think they would get some talk about being at large, but I don't think they would make it. But that would be a great year for them.
Thank you, Zachary, for the subscribe. Nicholas Jacku says he is the St. Francis play-by-play guy, and he says the drama this year is something special. Dude, I believe it. Zachary got the bell. Nicholas,
you're the man, Zachary.
I love it. Nicholas, if y'all make the playoffs, as I think you might, obviously you still got to beat St. X.
Hey, Nicholas, we enjoy interacting with you on Twitter as well,
absolutely.
man. Thank you.
But yeah, we would we'd love to come on and talk and help you do your previews there for your game. We love going and doing other things. I was on a IW Wildcat Roundup a couple years ago. Or not a couple years ago, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be on there tomorrow. They'll drop that on Wednesday. We try to do as much as we can to build the NAIA brand. It's not as much about our personal brand as it is
representing, helping the kids, man.
Absolutely, and we've said that from day one. So thank you guys. Y'all make it worth it. Y'all make it so much fun.
We would just like to do this more often.
Oh, yeah.
And we just need a little money. We know we're not going to ever get rich off this, but we would like to be able to do this more. It's a passion, man.
If we could travel.
Yeah.
Billy Hall for NAIA Player of the Year, my vote.
Reinhardt, quarterback.
Let's see.
Yeah, he's been a lot more versatile this year than in the spring.
Yeah, he definitely was. Yeah, let's pull up the Presto here and let's see. Let's see. I honestly think that it's likely to be Sims, Woods, or Dolancheck, depending on who comes out of the
I'm starting to
the
think it's
G-Pack.
Dolancheck.
You're gonna have to go put up playoff numbers.
Yeah.
In terms of defensively, though, I really could see Jason Freeman taking it.
Right.
He's a heck of a player. Josh Siebold from Bethel's one that would be really nice.
Freeman definitely put a push from last week, having 30
Holy
tackles.
crow,
whatever it
31
was.
tackles again, yeah. So, let's see. Let me pull up. All right. So Zachary lives in Fargo, travels to Northwestern to provide them with imagery. If everything goes right, he'll be in North Carolina next month. We'll see you there if that's the case. Nicholas says USF is 1-22 versus St. X. This week is going to be it is going to be bonkers.
You know, yeah, I agree. Usually we side with history, but seeing teams like the Bethel Threshers, who have been historically bad,
Yeah.
starting to rise up. You know, times are changing in AI. I was actually surprised St. Francis won this past weekend.
Of Indiana?
No,
Of Illinois.
Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a situation where St. Francis loses a tight one where they can still sneak in as an at-large? Let me pull the.
No, they're done.
Yeah, no,
You gotta win
not
or
at
you're
not
out.
at 20, not at 20 because you're gonna drop from there.
You need to be
You need-
around the top 10.
Yeah, you
hanging out there.
you need to be in here. So,
That's what makes
no.
Kaiser so compelling.
Yeah, exactly. Nick,
Southeastern
okay,
never
call me
got that.
Nick. Okay, Nick. There we go. St. X is also having a downy. Yeah.
Yeah, usually St. X has this wrapped up like a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
So let's think about this. This is the second year that St. X
Yes,
has
yeah.
not had it wrapped up. I mean, last year was all of it Nazarene.
Right.
The parity of the Midwest
Mm-hmm.
is getting
Bigger.
is definitely increasing. RU is the most balanced team I've seen in a while. Oh, that's no joke there.
Who's that?
Reinhardt.
Reinhardt, yes, they are absolutely. It's like their culture identity on offense has changed a little bit.
They're
Very
getting-
physical,
Yeah, they're
but
definitely getting
they're
better
able
through
to
the air.
finesse.
Absolutely. Through the air. I mean, we said a couple years ago, if Reinhardt could throw the ball, they'd be great.
They make a huge run.
And now they have. So, if there's nothing else, watching the comments here, if there's nothing else, we will see y'all Sunday night. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. It's going to be an absolute blast. For John Cooper, I'm Corey Thorpe, and we'll see y'all Sunday night.